it has like walls of a castle, and we'll go into some of the more of the details later. It's like almost like a mini amusement park of stone. It looks wonderful. Like if you could go there, it would be amazing. I mean, he's got all these stone rocking chairs and all these celestial things carved out of the stone. I mean, these
I
massive,
want to go. That sounds awesome.
massive things there. So let's hear about, and the recreation's also great because he's like sitting on top of the block on the guy's like truck. It's really cool looking. Let's hear more about Ed's big move.
Piece by piece, Ed moved all 3 million pounds of rock 10 miles to its present location near Homestead, Florida. As usual, no one ever managed to see how he lifted the giant rocks, which weighed up to 30 tons apiece. How did he do it? There are many theories.
Yeah, there are. Some of the ones they don't mention here, of course, I said that, people saw him like laying his hands over. Some people thought, just as I've heard interviews and stories about this, that he could somehow levitate the rocks, just even without that, once he was able to quarry them. That, or there was some kind of like sound resonance or sound vibration he could use, and that was what the Egyptians would use. Like it's
they all
really
have tuberculosis?
Isn't that like what do they call that? Seismatic, somatic? Isn't there? What is it?
It would be seismatic, but I don't know. I've never.
They
Joshua
get into
P. Warren talked about something like this, I think, in the episode of the Unbelievable podcast, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think that would be seismic or whatever, I don't know. Maybe there's
he ain't building cool castles like this.
Of course not. Of course.
Or
not.
a Tesla coil.
I mean, I'm not comparing the two. I would never compare these two people.
So Nimoy, he goes on to explain a little bit about the stones themselves that Ed is using.
Forces deep in the earth fuse dead coral into oolite, a dense, strong organic rock. And most of South Florida has little topsoil over this bedrock. We asked the men at a rock quarry to try an experiment, to cut and lift a giant block of oolite. With diamond-tipped power saws, the cutting alone took several hours. The only way to break the block free, brute force.
So now, so this is like dense 6 million year old coral that is just formed into the stuff they called oolite. It's like ancient coral that is formed to stone. So saying the place is made of coral, it's called coral because it's like, old fossil coral just formed into bedrock.
So it's fossilized, and does that make it any denser or heavier or lighter when it fossilizes?
You're hearing. I mean, he's got, these, just...
Well, those sound effects aren't real.
Well, this is a cool little part where they're showing, they're showing how just modern coral kind of makes its own castles underwater. It's like, oh, that's nice. But he's doing an experiment with these guys. What you're hearing is this crane is trying to pull a big square of oolite out. And this square is not even as big as some of the stuff Ed has. And they're having a lot of trouble with it. They try to lift big pieces of coral with modern, 1970s, but modern equipment. And even then, it's difficult.
It couldn't be done.
Charles Valois comments.
Not with the modern equipment. I wouldn't cut more than 4 foot long and 32 inches wide and 7 or 8 foot long. That's the most I'll cut. And you see the struggle I have getting it out with that machine.
This is the only known photo of Ed apparently working. Although he seems to be breaking the block free with wedges, a close look reveals that the block is already cut free, with a cable underneath. Engineers have been puzzled by this photo. Bruce Cathy has extensively studied and written on Earth forces. He believes that a harmonic grid inside the Earth's surface can create actual anti-gravity at certain nodes on the grid, and that Coral Castle was built on a position of harmonic resonance.
So there it is. That's what you were talking about, Rod. It's this harmonic resonance. It's something about the location on the grid of the ley lines or whatever, wherever he's building this in Coral Castle. He is somehow able to manipulate that and he's floating rocks, I guess.
But the question is, what does it look? What does that look like when he manipulates it?
No one knows because he knows when they're coming and he doesn't want people to see. He's very, very secretive about this. He told
the truck driver, go wait in the truck.
Go wait over there. He sees
over
guys.
there.
He sees guys peeking out from behind a bush, and he is like, "Oh, I see you. I'm going to drop the rock, and I'm going to move on."
And it lands on his foot, and then he's all cartoon cussing. What if he is using these harmonic grids to like raise the shit or whatever? Then probably those same things, like, you know, hypothetically, if this were true, then that's how he would know if people were coming. Like the thing would probably stop working automatically because these asshole normies are coming on and disrupting the harmonics.
If he is that in tune with what he's doing, you might be right. He might be able to sense some kind of a disturbance in the force or something.
Is it like a Professor X or like Magneto style thing? Do you think?
That's what I'm picturing.
He just points his hand at it and like just squints his eyes, and then the rocks vibrate.
One hand to the temple.
You reminded me, some people actually relate this guy to Magneto. They call him like the real life Magneto because he can move the stuff. Even though, you know, it's not made of metal. But
I thought you were going to, I swear to God, I thought you were going to, that was your perfect opportunity right there to talk about the scene in The Force Awakens where Rey makes the rocks move. I thought you were going to do it, but you didn't do it.
He already dropped one reference.
I don't need to do that. So
it's not something he does, Rob.
Now we're gonna hear from the man he talked about, a guy named Bruce Cathy. He's an expert on, I don't know, rock floating, I guess. Here's
his last name is Cathy.
Here's Mr. Cathy.
He's moved stones up to coral blocks up to 25 tons, and he'd put them up overnight just on his own. After he died, I checked some of the instruments he was using, and they're very, very primitive. Chisels and hammers and ropes and pulleys and things. Nobody can understand even today now how he done this. I found when I applied the harmonic mathematical basis to his position on the Earth's surface geometrically, that the same harmonic values popped up on the area where he was. He always said that he had the secrets of anti-gravity and magnetic fields, and he also said that he knew how they built the pyramids. So it appears if he was telling the truth, that it looks like he did have these secrets.
Yeah, even rock expert guy, he thinks this guy knows the secrets of the pyramids.
Wow. He has to.
I had a feeling.
Now, since earlier and Rob hadn't seen what Coral Castle looked like, we made Rob go look at Coral Castle. And what do you think, Rob? Like, what do you think just looking at it, the park itself?
It looks like a really cool mini golf course mixed with like a art, like art installation. Yeah, like an outdoor art installation. Like out where I live, sometimes during the summertime they do like modern art installations in the woods and stuff, and like that's kind of what it reminds me of, is something like that, almost like a
like times 10. Yeah,
like times 10, like a very intricate, strangely designed, lots of weird shapes and stuff. Very artistic and stylized. Very cool though.
Yeah, but listen to Mr. Cathy, so. What he's saying he knows the secrets of the pyramids. What did Ed know? You know, what is he really up to? Let's hear what they think.
Ed performed many strange experiments with magnetism, although he had no source of conventional electricity. He hinted to neighbors he was on the verge of a monumental breakthrough and published his preliminary results. His book, however, is as incomprehensible as Einstein's unified field theory. Just as Ed always worked in secret, he also preferred to take his own photographs, posing in his one suit with a self-timed box brownie.
Yeah, Ed, the original selfie man.
His one
I saw
suit.
That photo. I don't know if it's the same photo he's talking about. I just, because I have, pulled up the one, there's only one site that I have looked at.
Is it the photo where he's holding up his book, his pamphlet?
Oh no, he's reclining on what looks to be a rock lazy boy and just chilling.
Is he wearing the same suit in every picture of him?
Well, he only has one suit.
He's not wearing a suit here. He looks like he has the suit, but he's taken off the coat part. I just see the white undershirt shirt with the collar and the tie. But so, yeah. I'm sure your guys' photos look cool too.
So yeah, that's what they're saying. He had a brown box brownie, whatever they called it.
Yeah,
a timed camera of the time, and he wouldn't let people take pictures of him, but he would take his own. He was the original selfie guy, and he had a they call it a book. Most people refer to it as a pamphlet called Magnetic Current, and like Spock said, this it was nearly incomprehensible. Like people could just read it and they had no idea what he was talking about. Like the things he was talking about and using magnetism for all these things. It goes into that, harmonic resonance and magnetism and all that. And he's making his own electricity at this place, which is also wild. This guy was kind of like a genius to be able to put all this together.
By bouncing around in the bathtub.
All the time.
In the bathtub, he was making electricity. How do you do that?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that when they were first describing him and those other people talking about him. Like, oh yeah, he was talking to us about electricity, and then he jumped into a bathtub. We
flew by that before so fast. I didn't even get a chance to talk about that.
He got past the mystery of the toaster. Yeah, the toaster in the bathtub was not happening, and I feel bad that's where we went because this next clip. Oh, remember this guy's doing this. This is a symbol of love. He's spending his entire life dedicated. He's going so far to build a place for the woman he loves that he has to go as far as figuring out the mysteries of the pyramids and harmonic resonance and completely creating a whole new branch of science to be able to impress a woman. I mean, that is a lot to go through for love, for your heart. But
go ahead.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, I find it hard to believe that this is all for a woman, that like maybe he was already invested in this kind of science and everything, and that it would make sense for him to create this display, and that his lost love would be a great cover for people to kind of like feel sorry for him and leave him alone when he could very well be dealing with the devil. We don't know.
I wouldn't say it's so much of a cover, but you are onto something. His father in Latvia was a stonemason, so he grew up. He grew up learning this trade, this skill, and he went around, in this country and Canada working as a stonemason. So I mean, he knows what he's doing, but he is on a different level. I mean, people in the 70s when we're listening to this, this was already years after he had passed. They're talking about him, but. One night, Ed left a sign on the front gate that said, "Went to hospital," and then this happened.
With this same simplicity, Ed awoke one morning in December of 1951. He put on his one suit, hopped a bus, and checked into Miami's county hospital. The doctors were appalled to find him near death from malnutrition. For a while, he rallied under their care, and then died quietly in his sleep.
Whoa.
That was fast.
Sorry.
That happened so fast. We're just getting to know the guy.
We are, and we're going to learn more, of course, but one night.
Malnutrition? Was he just not eating? Like, was he so obsessed with his stonework that he couldn't eat?
He must have been, and he must have just not wanted to leave his work. I mean, he's already moved this place years before, and he's still
That was
working.
Insane on its own, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is the most insane feat, to build this entire... And you saw the place now, Rob and Dre. I know you've seen pictures of it. And everybody, please just go Google a picture or anything about Coral Castle. When you see it and realize that one man built this, not only did he build it himself, in secret, no help, no large machinery.
And super frail.
I was wrong. He moved the damn thing 10 miles away by himself also and just put it back together and then kept working on it still. Insanity. So now he's gone. So he's passed. But although Ed passes on, the story doesn't end.
Even after his death, Ed left a few surprises. Neighbors guarded the grounds until authorities could make an official investigation.